Hey, and welcome everybody. And thanks to these Shining Light moms who are here to share their story and share their kids with us. And I'll start by reading our mission statement. Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. HPH goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. HPH affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance in this meeting is voluntary. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Discussions here are confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with children who have passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinions of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members. So we ask that you take from their presentation whatever may benefit you personally.
Thank you very much, Carolyn, and welcome everyone. I hope you've heard of Shining Light Parents because you're about to hear from 4 of them this evening. The definition is that a Shining Light parent has moved from being mostly focused on grieving, sad, lonely, angry, feeling guilt, shame, blame, etc., to focused on higher energy emotions, peace, joy, love, gratitude for the time they were with their children, and so on. Now, this does, and then these shining light parents become kind of like people have had a near-death experience. Their life is totally different. They're transformed in wonderful ways. And some of the most amazing people I've met in my life have been these shining light parents. So it's such a sacred honor to interview them. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that their lives are perfect all the time. They still have their tough days, maybe an anniversary or something. But for the most part, they really are feeling more meaning, joy, peace, and so on. And they're going to share with you how you can do that as well. I recommend that you watch this video at least twice and take notes because there's a lot in there, and I guarantee you won't get it the first time through. So to learn more about that journey from primarily grieving to shining light parents, excuse me, see articles number 2 and 82 at my website, soulproof.com. I should add that the other part of that equation or formula is that these parents increasingly know that their kids are living in a realm that's characterized by those higher energy emotions and ways of being. And so the more these parents have learned that the more they're like their kids, happy, joyful, serving, etc., the more they can sense their kids' living presence. So before we get started, I'd just like to share our 4 this evening are affiliate leaders, that is group leaders. They have online and or in-person groups. And to learn more about how you can learn if there's a group in your area or learn about the special groups, special focus groups, visit helpingparentsheal.org/affiliate leaders. And then we also are be interviewing 35 of our caring listeners, shining light parents who at no charge will talk with you, listen, share what worked for them, help you journey to out of dark night of the soul if that's where you are. And to see the caring listeners, visit helpingparentsheal.org/caring listeners. So our first guest this evening is Heather. And Heather, tell us about Luke, please. How and when he changed worlds, etc.
My Luke, he's amazing. So he transitioned. It was just his first year anniversary on October 27th. he chose to leave this world. He transitioned by a suicide. He is a great kid. Oh, and so he loved, and he still does. He loves basketball, music, our family, and nature. Oh, he loved nature so much, and animals. And boy, I know that he's really enjoying himself on the other side because he almost immediately started sending me signs. And they were undeniable. So, and just recently, I want to say within the past month, I had my first true connection with him, and it was him, and it's just amazing. So I'm not going to say every day is easy for me, but I have just found this magical world with him, and I've heard other Shining Light parents say this as well, because my son was 20 years old when he transitioned. I am almost closer with him now. Oh, no, I definitely am. I think we have a closer relationship now than we had for the past, 10 years, I want to say.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yes, he's amazing. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So how did you first learn about helping parents heal, and how did they help you in the beginning?
Well, actually through you, and I was watching YouTube videos, as you are, for the first couple days, weeks, I did not want to leave my bed. So I was, watching YouTube. I found you, and then I also found your website, also Suzanne Giesman. And when I realized that, it just gave me so much hope. It gave me an incredible amount of hope. And I started attending the Helping Parents Heal Zoom meetings, and I saw these amazing readings that people were getting. And I thought to myself, well, there are so many people. And I have to tell this story, even though it's going to be very wordy. Because in the beginning, I noticed that a lot of people were getting readings, but it seemed like the mediums could only do so many, and I was never getting a reading. And I kind of gave up on the Zoom meetings initially, for the first couple weeks there. And then I had not realized, and I think maybe Luke did this for me. He signed me up to the Helping Parents Heal suicide survivors. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the Helping Parents Heal for suicides. And they had a meeting that I didn't know about, that I didn't sign up for. It was a Zoom meeting. And all of a sudden on my phone, I got a notification that my meeting was starting in an hour. And I was like, my meeting? I'm not signed up for a Zoom meeting, I was in my pajamas in bed miserable. So I thought, well, maybe I'll attend this meeting, So I did. I got up, I put some decent clothes on, put my hair up in a ponytail, and, got my laptop and said, well, all right, I'm all ready to go. But if I'm going to call, I thought to myself, well, maybe I can do something special to call Luke to me. So I had an old Yankee candle that he gave me that was my favorite scent. And these Yankee candles are these jars. And once you get them down to the bottom, it's very hard to light them. Well, my stick lighter was all the way downstairs in my family room at the chimney, at my fireplace. And I was like, oh, I just don't have the energy to get down there. And I was like, well, went in the bathroom. I come out of my bathroom, and that stick lighter, and I'm home alone. The stick lighter was on the pillow of the bed where I had just been laying. So I said, all right, kiddo, here we go. I guess I'm going to light this candle, and I'm going to go and join the Zoom meeting. Well, a couple people are read, and it's getting towards the end. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to get a reading. Well, the kid came through, and it was Britta is her name. She's amazing. And my son, Luke, gave so much evidence that I was just blown away, blown away. And that did it for me. It really, and then he has sent me he sent me an email for, now I'm a realtor. I own a real estate brokerage. I got an email for continuing education for nurses all about energy healing. I don't know how it got sent to me. Well, I do now. I'm sure it was Luke. So then I started learning all about how we're all energy, and you raise your vibration. It's all just coming together. So
Yeah.
it's just beautiful and magical.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. I hear them almost every day, but I never get tired of it, and I know they're real. So tell people, please, how it is you're serving now, just a year, a little after a year. Congratulations.
Thank you. So my group is relatively brand spanking new. It's still kind of small. And I was, again, I cannot lie and say I'm happy all the time. I was getting very nervous, in the first about month or so before his anniversary. I kind of shut myself down a little bit, but we're building, we're gaining momentum. I had noticed that there wasn't any, I'm outside of Chicago in the northwest suburbs, so we're a pretty big area. And I had noticed that there were no groups in my area. I don't even think there's anyone in Illinois. So I said, I have to do this. I have to spread the word.
Excellent.
Because it's just helped me so much. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, the Aborigines have a saying, if you help just one person in your life, it's been a good life. So, we all need to remember that when we're serving, and we never know what the effects will be, the ripples will be from helping one person.
Yeah.
So tell us, what have you learned about how you can best sense Luke now, and what other parents might try?
Oh my goodness. So, it's so funny because, again, I took that course about energy healing, which led me to how we're all vibration and frequency. That's really what we are. So I decided, well, I'm going to do everything I can to raise my vibration, because I know he's got to lower his to be able to meet me in the middle. And I figure I got pretty far to go. He probably doesn't, what I mean? So I started doing Reiki. And I watch as many of the Helping Parents Heal Zoom meetings as I can, but it feels like I feel a little guilty because I think I've had maybe 2 more readings, and it's crazy because there's so many people in the group. So, let me see, where was I going? I've learned I use a lot of crystals. I meditate a lot. You have some excellent meditations, and guided ones through Helping Parents Heal that I've had excellent connections and visits with him. The first time that I had a visit that wasn't facilitated, like through a guided meditation, I was just going along. Again, I did my Reiki. I've been trying to, ground myself. I get this advice to ground yourself, do all this stuff. So I've been working very hard. Well, and I said, Luke, my intention, I really want to speak to you one-on-one, like you do with me through the mediums.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I said, well, this is it. I'm going to really work hard. And I did, I did my chakras. I did my grounding. I did everything. I meditated. I got nothing. Well, that night I'm taking a bath, and I got myself a book, and it was fiction. It was finally something just to relax me. And it was a great story, so I'm getting into this book, and I hear a voice in my head say, meditate. And I'm like, oh, I already meditated today, and I'm really enjoying this book. Again, meditate. So I say, all right, well, I don't have a candle lit. I've got the lights on so I can read. I'm thinking there has to be all this complicated stuff. Well, as soon as I just closed my eyes and just relaxed, Luke came in, and it was him, and he comes off this basketball court. I mean, it was his voice, and we had a conversation and a connection, and he brought in one of my guides who said she was facilitating. She called herself an ancillary. And I had like a 20-minute visit with my son.
Beautiful.
And it was like finally, this is crazy. And I hope all you parents are listening, because this is how long it lasted. And it was so satisfying to me that I finally said, after about 20 minutes, a half hour, my bath water was getting freezing cold. And I was like, look, I got out of the tub, got my pajamas on. And I said, finally, I'm like, because they were still talking and having a conversation with me. And I said, okay, guys, I said, I hope we can do this again, and Luke and the guy said, oh, you'll see, you will. And my son said, Mom, I'm just a thought away. And I said,
Great.
well, I'm tired now, so we're going to shut this down for now, because I'm going to watch some TV and go to bed. I mean, if you would have told me that would come out of my mouth, a year ago.
Well, it takes a lot of energy. You can only hang out that level for so long,
Yes.
too. So what are 3 things that you wish more parents knew that you've learned?
Well, I wrote them down because I wanted to make sure that I got, this message across. So our kids, they are alive and well, and they might as well be sitting right next to us. It's just like my son said, Mom, I'm right here. If I know he's busy doing other things too. He's got stuff going on, but he's just right next to me. So they're having a great time. Also, I firmly believe, now I was raised Catholic, so there was a lot of dogma, growing up, a lot of rules and things and scary stuff. Especially when I went to Catholic grade school, but I'd always thought to myself, no, God loves me. He's my father, and I believe that we have direct connection to him. It's our birthright. And it's our birthright to be able to connect to the other side, all of our loved ones, our ancestors, everyone. I believe truly in my heart that we are all born with this gift that we can do this. This is nothing. If I can do it, anybody can do it. The last thing I want to say, because I know it's very hard early on, for me, like, I'm able to function, I'm laughing, I have a good time, but for me, grief, this journey that I'm on right now, it's like I'm on a boat in a river, and I'm just going down this river. And sometimes, if you're on the river, it's nice and smooth, you're having a good time, it's easy. Sometimes another boat comes along and there's a wake and it gets all choppy and that water's choppy, and you just have to ride it out. Just ride out those choppy times when those waves are rough, and keep studying, keep exploring. There's so much information out there to help us. And I do believe right now we are all awakening, and more people are learning and are open to this, and it's going to be wonderful. It's magic. It's magical, but it's real.
Wow, way to have high energy. And
Yes. Thank you.
finally, what could you share, please, about your belief or knowing about there being a timing and a meaning, even when a loved one passes by suicide?
So I knew I'd had some, my hair, the girl that does my hair is psychic. And she was doing my hair at her house, and she did my tarot cards, and she saw it, and she thought maybe it was my husband, so I kind of had a little. And then I have also a client of mine who I sold her house, and she's my tenant. She's also very gifted. And we were talking about, and this was way before this happened with Luke, we were talking about that the earth right now, there's a bunch of energy. She was telling me this theory about how there's a lot of energy being directed towards earth these past couple of years, and that a lot of souls are going to choose to exit. And when she had said that, something in my heart, I knew, I wasn't aware of which one of, because I have 3 children, two older sisters Luke had, and then him. But I felt like something was coming. All my life, I've had a couple psychic things happen to me where I thought, well, that, I had a visit from my grandfather, which I talked myself out of when I was younger, 20 years old. But I feel like Luke and I made a plan together that this was going to happen, and it was going to completely open me up, which it has, and it was going to put me on this path that I'm on. And
Thank
I'm going
you.
to do my best to help as many people as I can.
Well, I'd say you're off to an amazing start. Thank you very much. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
And Sarah, you are up next, please, dear, and tell us about your Scott.
Oh, Scott was just this amazing, brilliant child, my only child. And he was in college, and he was studying environmental sciences and just so passionate about everything that he did. So he was such a joy, so easy to raise. And, you know, I just never imagined anything happening to him. And yet he was all around me at some point in time. And then I got the message that he had passed at a national park where he was working for the summer between his freshman and sophomore years of college. And he wanted so much to be out there. I thought all these other students would be coming out to work in the summer. But Scott was the first one that got there. This was in Colorado. And he died in his sleep suddenly. But I had talked to him the night before. I knew he was sick. We did everything to try and get him to the doctor the next day, which worked out. And yet I talked to him that day. And then that night, Scott died in his sleep, and nobody knew. The adults in the park, no other kids were in his dorm with him. The adults in the park came to, well, they called us on Monday, but no one checked on Scott the whole weekend, even though they know he'd gone to the doctor. It was shocking. And he, as it turned out, Scott died he had a seizure disorder, which he took his medication. He was regularly doing that very well. Strep throat, dehydration, and elevation. It was just like the perfect storm came in and took him away. But no one checked on him all weekend long. So we flew out to Colorado as soon as we heard and didn't see Scott. But we know, we pretty much discovered that nobody could have saved him. It was pretty much Scott's day to leave. And understanding it now so much more, but at the time, as you know, it's just such a shock. And you can't even imagine that, especially my only child would be gone, and we never saw him again. But that was something he just couldn't be quiet. And so the day after his funeral, I woke up, tears streaming down. I knew nothing spiritual. There wasn't anything spiritual going on in 1994. I'm telling you, it's 29 years ago. Seems unbelievable. And yet I just got up that morning, the day after the funeral, just tears running down my face. And I said to my husband, I need to write a letter to the community that could be our little local newspaper, and thank everyone for their loving words and caring for us and everything beautiful that had happened, you know, at his service and all. And I went down to pull out to get notebook paper. Was the only paper I could think of at the moment. And I pulled out 2 pieces of paper, and the top piece was notebook paper. And the second piece was a poem, a printed poem, came out of the notebook paper package. And it said, "Our children are like kites." And so I'm reading this, and it says, you know, you let them out a little bit at a time, and you bring them back in to keep them safe. And then you let them out a little bit further, and the wind takes them away. And eventually, you know, that they will need to go as they needed to go, soaring, free and alone. It's like soaring. What an incredible word. But the most amazing part of this was at the bottom of this poem, printed poem, was a picture of 3 kites. And in each kite was a letter. And it spelled May, the month of May. Scott passed May 20th, M-A-Y. And it was like, the kites say May, it's saying he's soaring. And I mean, I was in shock. I didn't know about signs or the possibilities of that. So that was the beginning of my journey within that first week.
And quite a beginning at that. And so how did you find out about Helping Parents Heal, and how did they first help you, Sarah?
Well, there was no Helping Parents Heal. There was, I don't know, Elizabeth was about 20 years old probably then. But I met Elizabeth because I was going out to Phoenix to speak at another conference for a bereaved parents group. And I knew that she did yoga, and I was in charge of a department, even though I was doing like 4 workshops at this conference. They'd asked me to do something called a Healing Haven, and we needed someone to do yoga. I already knew about Elizabeth. And so I wrote her and asked if I could come out when I come to Phoenix and meet her, and if she would be doing yoga at our conference. So I got to spend a weekend with her. And then just from that point on, I think I joined Helping Parents Heal when there were 400 members. So you can see now 25,000 other parents have joined. So I've known her for quite some time, and I've known her, the beautiful, Elizabeth that she's always been.
Sure,
And
sure.
so, yeah, so I've been a part of Helping Parents Heal. I speak at different, different meetings when I'm asked to, mostly about soul planning, because that is my thing. And so I've just kind of been in and out of different meetings. And so that's how I've known about Helping
Okay.
Parents Heal.
And how can people watching this learn more about your group, your soul planning group, and attend?
Okay, well, the group hasn't even started yet, because Elizabeth called me like about 3 weeks ago and asked me if I wanted to do that. And she'd asked me to do other groups locally and that kind of thing, and it just didn't feel right. But when it was soul planning, I said, oh, absolutely. And for those of you that don't know, I didn't even know about soul planning for 14 years after Scott passed, because nobody was talking about it. Mark, you might have been, I don't know, but there wasn't even cell phones or Zoom or anything, when Scott passed. And so when I learned about soul planning, I had 14 years of, working on my grief in different ways. I facilitated a parents group in our town here and read what few books there were. But when I read Robert Schwartz's book, Your Soul's Plan, and when he published it, and then I met him because he lived an hour from me, it opened my world up to something that just made so much sense. So I'm going to be the affiliate leader starting January 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll talk about our soul's plans and how our connection with our children is so extraordinary when you really start looking, as Mark, at a soul level. It changed my life and has continued to help me even today at 29 years with him, in knowing that the connection was always destined to be, meant to be.
Excellent. So people could visit Helping Parents Heal website.org and then look at the calendar, and that should show up on the calendar.
Yes.
Okay. So what have you learned? You mentioned Scott came in pretty quickly. What are some ways you've learned to sense his presence?
Early in the days, there were dreams. And one of the probably strongest ways early on was songs. Like I would walk into Lowe's or a drugstore, and I'd be hearing the song Sarah Smiles or something like that I knew, like, it was like this song was coming right to me. It was that direct, and it was like no one else was even listening. So songs like that were probably now very old and back in the day, but Hero by Mariah Carey, that came out to me in a way. I have a list because I had a CD make of all these back in the day. Wind Beneath My Wings. It was just like everywhere I would go, I'd wake up in the morning and there'd be a song playing in my head. It was like another song. And so I think I had like 35 songs that were really my top 35 that
Nice.
He would let me know. And I think it was on Scott's 9th anniversary. My husband and I were eating lunch out at a restaurant, and the music system was on, but 2 songs were playing at the same time. And it's like so annoying, right? Because it's like, isn't somebody going to fix this? I mean, it's 2 songs playing at the same time. I don't even know how that could happen. But one of the songs was Sarah Smile. And right on top of it was Angel by Sarah McLachlan. And it was like, when I realized what was going on, it's like, oh my gosh, that's Scott on the 9th anniversary letting me know he's with me. So
Oh my gosh.
he's been, and now I hear him literally all the time, day, night. He's my guide. We've written an enormous amount of blogs, 100 blogs that are at spiritteaches.org, that he told me that we were going to write blogs back in 2014 or something. I said, I don't want to. He goes, no, you need to. It's like, I do. Okay, I don't know how to do them. We'll show you. And honestly, every step of the way, it evolved. So we have 100 blogs online with Death Teaches and Spirit Teaches. So there's a lot of information out there that I have to be able to talk about, share.
Sure, I can tell. So what are 3 things you wish more parents knew that you've learned so far?
Well, because I was on the slow path, to spirituality is look for what resonates with you. You know, pay attention to something that comes into you that just opens up your heart or just stays with you for a while. I love the word resonates because I feel that that's our children spirit coming through and saying, hey, we're on the same page with this word or this thought or whatever it may be. So look for what resonates with us. It says, and also we now are learning, I didn't know this at the time, that this love is really forever. I thought Scott would be gone like maybe 3 years. He might stay with me, but honestly, we're at 29 and a half and he's never left me. So, and I think for all of you that are newer to helping parents heal and know so much more than I did for so long, you're going to realize that this was an eternal relationship, that it wasn't just temporary until they went to do something else on the other side. Scott's soul is present with me all the time, now more than ever. So just keep your hearts open to all of that and give yourself time. It doesn't all come at the same time. Mine was, like I said, a very slow process, but I feel just enormous love and gratitude for this journey.
Excellent. And by the way, for those who want to learn more, she mentioned soul planning, pre-birth planning. You can see my article number 25 at soulproof.com. And then to her point that Scott's with her all the time, and some parents may, and some have expressed this, gosh, I feel a little bad about, taking so much of his time, but all the indications are that those who have dropped the body and its limiting brain can experience different times and places simultaneously. The idea of multi-location. So you don't have to worry about taking too much time from your kids. They can do more than one thing at a time. So tell us, please, and I'm interested to hear your view on this, about your beliefs about there being a timing, a rhyme, and a reason how he passed and when.
I believe that everything is timed. I believe that the soul journey is taking us exactly where we need to go every time, every day. And that brings me so much peace of mind. So my shock in 1994, I mean, I had to live with that for quite some time. I now look back on that and realize that that was what Scott was meant to go at that time. So I just trust in the whole big picture of soul journeys, that we're souls, that Scott and I planned this before we were born. I had one past life regression, and in that I saw Scott and I sitting next to each other talking about what we were going to do in the next lifetime. It was profound. I'll never forget that. And then Scott has just continued to just pour that information into me and let me live it. And I can tell you, I have so much peace of mind because of soul planning. And I would love to help others get to a point of understanding the depth of this, that I know so many parents ask me why I would never plan this. I would never plan this. I know that. I would have said that too. The more you're, invested in this, the more you learn the depth of this. You begin to see that everything in your life that then evolves was always there to teach you or show you. And I've shared this with other people too. My husband has dementia now. So my only child passed. My husband has dementia. And it's like, I joke around in a way by saying this too. Okay, so Spirit, you're giving me this too. And yet I'm at peace with this. And I trust that I planned this with my husband and that I will be there in the ways that I can help him.
Wow, way to be strong. And one important distinction, when someone says, I would never plan this, I say, well, which I are we talking about? The I, it's just your limited human self, or your eternal cosmic part of creator self. Well, thank you very much. Awesome.
Thank you.
Pam, you are up next, please. And share with us about your Michelle, how and when she passed.
Absolutely. My daughter is Michelle, and she passed in 2018. She was 20 years old, 2 weeks shy of her 21st birthday. One morning I woke up and I went into her bedroom, and she had passed to the spirit world in her sleep. And It was a complete shock, totally unexpected. That morning I was in total shock, and after the police and everyone left, I went to sit outside, and this beetle came and landed by my feet. And this beetle had flipped upside down, and it's doing this thing where it's trying to turn itself back over, and it's doing this on, and it became comical, and it made me think of my daughter, because that is my daughter's personality. She would be doing something silly to try to cheer me up. And at this point in my life, I was raised Methodist, but I had become very skeptical about religion and God and the afterlife and mediums. But something about this little beetle made me think that my daughter was there trying to cheer me up. And so that was just, the first thing, one of the first things that happened that made me question my beliefs.
I love that. And some of my medium friends say that, it's important to know that if indeed that beetle was being inspired by Michelle, that wasn't Michelle per se, but Michelle's energy can ping that beetle and say, hey, can you help me shake my mom out of the doldrums, and just kind of titillate her brain a little bit to consider there's more to this picture. Well, how did you learn about helping parents heal, and how did you first avail yourself of their services?
Right. So my Michelle in life, I won't say bossy, but she's very determined person. She'd get an idea in her head and she wouldn't stop until she got her way. So I can just see her on the other side, making sure that I found out about, everything that I needed to know. One of the things being helping parents heal. Right away, I found Helping Parents Heal on Facebook, and I started going to the Zoom meetings. And it really saved me, just having the speakers talk about the afterlife and the soul planning and the mediumship. It really gave me a whole new perspective and hope that my daughter is still well and love doesn't die.
Beautiful. And how were you motivated, and share with us how you are helping others as a group leader?
Right. So I am the affiliate leader in Houston, along with, I've recruited Mary and Deb. And at the time, there was, even though Houston's a humongous city, there was no group in Houston. But I had heard that there were other parents that were interested in starting a group. So I did start a group in Houston, and I don't really consider myself the leader. I consider myself more of a facilitator, because we all get together and support each other and hold space for each other, and just offer a safe place to share and talk openly without feeling any judgment.
Beautiful. And share with those who are watching, please, how you've been able to best sense Michelle's presence and give them some ideas they might try.
Right. So many ways I can sense her. And what I wanted to do was share one of my favorite signs that I got from her was on my birthday, the first birthday that I had after she had crossed to the spirit world. And so to put some backstory to it, on her last birthday before she crossed, her friends threw her a big party, and they went and bought this like big poster, and they folded it in half and made it into this big birthday card that they all signed. So fast forward a year, on my birthday, after she crossed to the spirit world, and I'm at that age where it's like, oh yeah, another birthday. I don't really think much of it, So I went up to her room to feed her cat, because her cat was staying in her room at the time. And I went up to her room, and I'm putting the cat food on the floor, and I hear this noise in her closet, and I see something sticking out of her closet. So I walk over and open the closet door, and here's that big giant birthday card that says happy birthday on it. That was definitely her sign to me on my birthday.
Nice.
So, but other than that, I mean, there's so many ways that our children in spirit try to connect with us, but it can be very subtle. So you really need to pay attention. And I would say to parents who are looking to find ways to connect, that finding that quiet time to quiet the noise around you and to open your awareness to that subtlety of spirit through meditation, soft music, guided meditations. I think that's a wonderful way to connect with our children in the spirit world.
Excellent. And you just uttered a quotable phrase. It's poetic, really. The subtlety of spirit. Beautifully put. So what are 3 things that you've learned that you wish more parents knew that would help them on their journey?
So the first one, and quote Suzanne Giesman, they're still right here. You know, they haven't gone away. They haven't gone to a far off place. They're around us. They're in our lives. They see what's going on. They try to influence us. We can learn to communicate with them. We can talk to them. And they want to continue, as Sarah said, that soul to soul relationship and connection doesn't die just because of bodily death. That continues, and they want to continue that relationship with us. So that's the first one. The second one would be, as parents who lose children, don't blame yourself, because as parents we take on a lot of guilt and blame when our child dies. And you know, I'm going to paraphrase Tom Zuba here, but God, that loving divine intelligence of the universe, God at the perfect time came and took our children home, and we are not more powerful than God. So we need to stop going through the would've, could've, should'ves and stop blaming ourselves, because it was divine timing, and it was, as Sarah says, a soul plan. The third thing would be, especially for those who are, you know, currently heavy in grief, just to do grief and to honor your children the way you feel is right, and don't worry about people saying you should do this or you shouldn't do that. Because, for example, after my daughter Michelle died, not long after, someone told me I should get rid of all of her things and pack them up and just get rid of them. And I was, you know, 5 years later, her room is the same. I didn't get rid of her clothes. In fact, I wear them. So, you know, do what you feel is right for you.
Good.
So yeah, that would be my 3 things.
Wise advice. Is that her cat, by the way?
That is one of her cats. Yes.
Okay. We want to get in on the act. Well, share with us, please, your belief about there being a timing, a meaning, even when it doesn't seem like it from an earthly perspective.
Yeah. So I'd like to share another amazing story about my daughter Michelle, because she truly is amazing. When she was little, like between 3 and 5, 6, she would tell me that she saw spirits. And of course, at the time I was pretty skeptical, and I was just like, yeah, she's playing, you know. So she kind of, grew out of it, or at least stopped telling me about it. But when 2 days before she passed, when she was 20 years old, she came to me 2 days before she passed and said, "Mom, remember when I was little and I was seeing spirits? I think I'm seeing spirits again." So they had come for her to take her home, because spirits, our ancestors, our loved ones, they do come and help us to cross over.
Wow, what a beautiful story. Okay, you paused me in my tracks for a moment on that one, Pam. Yeah, so powerful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mark.
Mary, you are up, please.
Thank you, Mark.
And tell us, Leah, is it pronounced?
Well, some people called her Leah and some people called her Leah, and I was the one that would call her Leah.
Okay,
But it doesn't
Leah
matter.
it is.
She answered for both.
Sure. Well, tell us about Leah, how she passed and how she lived.
Okay. So Leah was the youngest of my two children, and she was 32 years old when she left this world. She passed of sepsis and colorectal cancer. Leah was an entrepreneur early in life. She started her first company, Paloga, at 21. She was a marketing analyst for a sporting goods company. And she was very athletic. She loved yoga, surfing, but she was also into chakras and grounding and earthing and meditation. And even before her diagnosis, she tried to get me to meditate, and I would fall asleep. And then I was always so excited when I finally got through a guided meditation to the end, because I could tell her the story. But anyway, so she was diagnosed. Well, let me back up. So I was able to retire 1 month after she got married. And then she was diagnosed 4 months after that. So throughout her cancer journey, I was able to be with her all the time, and we only lived 15 minutes away. She was very holistic. So I was there to support her, even though I wanted to direct her. I just had to take a back seat. She was a young adult now, so I was there to support whatever she wanted to do. So at first she did a holistic approach. And then when things got a little bit more difficult, she had to have surgery, and then went to more traditional approaches to cancer. And then after 2 years, things stopped working. So hospice was called, and they were called to the house. And it was about 2 weeks after hospice came that she passed to the other world. But during that last night with her on May 16th, that morning, the hospice chaplain arrived, and I told her, I'm just going to go home and take a quick shower. I'll be right back. I'm 15 minutes away. And so she looked at me and she said, "Don't be long." And I had never been around death or dying, so I really didn't know much at the time. I went home, took a shower, I went outside and was just looking at my garden and my pool, and I saw a female cardinal just skim the surface of the water, and it just caught my gaze, and I just felt like time stopped. And seconds after that, a phone call came, and I didn't need to answer it. I just knew. I went to her, and everybody was already there. And when I saw her, she had a smile upon her face, and it actually made me laugh, because it was such a surprise. And at first I thought she left that smile for me, but I think it was really of what she saw, about the wonder and the beauty that she saw on the other side. And like so many other mothers and fathers that I've heard, where they've seen their children, that wasn't my daughter anymore. That was just a shell that was just a mode of transportation that carried her soul. That she was gone. That wasn't her. And at that moment, my quest began to find her. Where is she? And so that was immediate where I started to look for her.
Wow, thank you. And how did you discover Helping Parents Heal?
Actually, about a month later, I started, this was like just in the height of COVID 2020. I started looking at online support groups, and I found Irene Weinberg's Grief to Rebirth. And actually, Elizabeth was a guest speaker on. And I'm listening to this woman talk, and this, with this beautiful smile and laughter and upliftment. And so I looked into Helping Parents Heal, and I just found a connection, and just everything resonated with that.
Sure. And what motivated you then to serve others, and share how you're doing that, please?
I also feel like that is coming from Leah. Even prior to her diagnosis, it was always about serving others and gratitude. That's how she lived her life. And even when she was sick and she couldn't work anymore, she still offered her marketing skills to entrepreneurs and small businesses in the community. And when I found out about Helping Parents Heal, the Houston group of it, it was just a few months into this, and I just serving and giving back is for me, it's a way to shine brighter, to shine brighter for my daughter and myself. And it's not only is it, hopefully I'm benefiting somebody else, but it's also for myself. It's a mutual upliftment.
Sure. And what have you learned over the last several years about how you can best sense for living presence?
Definitely, I feel like meditation has helped me. I can tell, I can feel her presence, come closer. Like I feel like into my aura or into my space when I'm in a deep meditation. Also, just I'm also very aware of the subtleness, the subtle nudges to look down, to see a heart-shaped rock, or to look up and look at an owl's stare. Just to be mindful of those very subtle nudges, because that's how simple it can be.
Well said. You have such great sound bites. So what are 3 things that you've learned that you wish other parents knew as well?
I really believe that this is all an individual journey, even though we're all connected and we all really do benefit from each other. But to choose what works best for you, and connect with like-minded people, and connect with people that share maybe even, things about the same passing of your child, or just like interests, I think helps. Also, don't suppress your feelings, but acknowledge them, breathe them in, and let go what doesn't serve you. I think so many times we try to suppress our feelings. If I feel like something coming up, I just want to, it's like, okay, I don't want to go, I don't want to cry, I don't want to get upset, but just let it come and let it go. These are our human feelings. We need to feel those.
Powerful. So what is your current belief about there being a timing and a meaning on how your child passed? Leah?
Well, it's a little bit interesting. When Leah was in high school, for her birthday, a few of her friends, they wanted to go see a palm reader. And it's like, okay, I took, I think, 4 of her friends, and they went, and I went shopping and came back. And I asked her, so what did she say to you? What did she read your palm? And she wouldn't tell me. She said it would be upsetting. It's like, okay. And I let that go. That was, many years ago. And probably about 6 years prior to her passing, she was involved in a car accident in a Colorado snowstorm. And I remember her telling me that she really felt like she could have died, but it was just by the grace of whatever, she didn't die. And I look at the timing of her passing and everybody that she touched and the way she lived her life and how full she lived her life. And I think that it was more meaningful for her to to transition at that time than an earlier time. So I do believe that there are times where we possibly, could have left this world. But she chose, I think, a time where it made a more impact on more people, and that I was ready to receive what I needed to do and open up.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Well, to all of you, I feel the same way I have after every one of these interviews. Just so grateful to be part of Helping Parents Heal. Honored to know each one of you. Privilege, sacred privilege to have these kids, quote kids. I mean, they're really eternal spirits, and probably most of them more evolved than any of us, to be associated with them. So thank you very much for another wonderful evening. Carolyn, is there anything you would like to add before we part for today?
Oh, no, just thanks to share your kids with us and to let us hear the story. They're really, really, really touching stories, and really happy to be able to be part of this meeting tonight.
Yes, very good. So those who are viewing, remember at least 2 looks through, and just know there are so many resources. Visit the Helping Parents Heal site. We have these wonderful shining parents who are willing to help in different ways. So you don't have to go through this alone. We are there, as one mom said, if you've lost all your hope, we'll give you some of ours till you get yours back. So take advantage of that. God bless you all. Take care.
Thank you. Good evening.